Hello and welcome to Script to Screen. This is a talk show dedicated to local filmmakers and writers of the Iowa City area. I'm your host, Mark Bauer. Today I'm talking to two film students from the University of Iowa, Lev Cantoral and Jon Graf.
Cantoral.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Got it now. So you guys know each other pretty well, right?
This is true.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you know each other? Through just film classes or specifically like SVP or?
We met during a seminar class on auteur directors, Quentin Tarantino, David Lynch, and
Todd Haynes.
Taught by Corey Creekmer.
Mm-hmm.
And we met in that class. We did a group project together at the end, and I don't know what the first project we worked on together was.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Maybe the first big one might have been Iowa Desk and Couch.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That
yeah,
was a
we
big
met
project.
in the class. Lev would doodle everyone in the class. I'm sure he doodled me at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or Lev would sleep. When I was there, I would sit next to Lev, so a chemistry formed between his snores and me not paying attention.
Well, at least you're on the same page then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came to the university to study filmmaking, or Lev, you're also an art student, right?
Yeah.
When would you say that you became interested in film, and was it all aspects? Was it just directing or working the camera? Was it writing?
Well, I guess I would have to say that my interest in film began when I saw films, like as a very little boy. I think to the credit of my parents, I would see anything. Like it didn't matter if it was a children's film or if it was like a very mature adult film like Mulholland Drive.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really great because when you're a child, you really absorb things in a really like supernatural way. I don't know what it is, but like the reality of a movie is like more than real. And so I've always been attracted by that mystique. And also, of course, I watched a bunch of cartoons when I was a kid, and that was like my bread and butter. And my identity throughout my life has largely been defined by my love of animation and film together. Yeah, and then I did some, movies with my buddies in middle school and high school, and then, a lot more in college.
So which area would you say that you focused on more, though? Were you doing everything, or was it more of a collaboration with these guys back then?
Yeah, well, like in high school, it was just like, it was a total free-for-all, just like whatever job, you knew how to do to just get it done was what you did. And I was also kind of monopolistic about things. Like I would always try to get behind the camera, even though some other, like my buddy wanted to get behind the camera every now and then. And I kind of hogged it. But I've always had a big affinity for constructing a frame and, thinking about things visually.
Sure.
So I like being behind the camera. I really like writing, but I don't do it very much. But yeah, like I had a really fun time in a creative writing class in high school because that gave me a reason to write stories. And one of those stories I wrote, I adapted into my Modes project sophomore year. I didn't take Modes till sophomore year. And that was called Lev's Silver Screen Sillies. And it's about a fictionalized version of myself as an Edwardian dandy, but in today's modern day world, trying to make a movie in one day.
That sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out sometime if you got it.
Yeah, it's on my YouTube.
All right. Jon, how about you?
Well, when I was 8 years old, my aunt gave my cousin and I one of those like big, like bulky VHS cameras, like with the big tapes.
Yeah.
And so he and I took it to his room, and we made our first film. It was a big success. It was called The Mission, and it starred like GI Joes and like small soldiers and like our hands. And it kind of got us into like, we didn't realize it then, but we were doing like, it was basically all improv. There wasn't a script. And like at one point the camera caught me on it. And so as a good improviser would do, my cousin was just like, "Oh no, the giant is here!" And I'm just like, "Whoa," and I just started acting like a giant and kicking things.
That sounds so fun.
For the we didn't know that it was called a nuclear bomb. We called it the Nutrigrain bomb, and that was like a little weird like blue ball, like one of those that you could smash down and then it pops back up.
Oh, right, yeah.
And so we had an extreme close up of that, and it popped up. And then my cousin shouted, "Boom!" And then we cut to the fireplace, and that was the fire. And then in the background, we were like, "Ah!" screaming, because apparently the soldiers had really high-pitched voices. So that was the first movie we did. And then we just kept making films. So we made 4 wildlife films. That was about talking dogs and talking animals. And it was basically the plot of Home Alone, but with animals.
Nice.
So that was good. And then we made a story about a dog that died and had cancer. That was weird. I don't know where we were going for with that.
That was your dark period.
That was, it was supposed to be like our 12 Years a Slave or something, like our Best Picture winner. The funny thing is we didn't know about medicine, similar to the Nutrigrain bomb, and so the dog overdosed on Motrin was how it died, because the doctor, played by me, was just an incompetent doctor.
That's
and it was
great.
like, "You gave him Motrin? He's allergic to Motrin." And then the dog died. And we kept playing the same song, and I wish I remember what it was, because we would just play it on the boombox and then let it run.
Yeah.
But it was like some really cheesy song that my sister was into. Now this is like 1999, and my sister is like 13, so I can't even imagine what the song was. But so I did that, and then I had this like evil plot. I was like, I can't just walk in and be a director, but I could easily be a writer, because apparently when I was younger I thought being a writer was easy. And so I shifted gears,
Just type.
and I just started working on stories and stuff. I think when I was 12 at one point I was like, okay, so there's a lot of novels that are adapted into movies. I'll just write a novel.
Easy
I have like
route.
70 pages of El Dorado, City of Gold on a floppy. It's very bad. I found it. It's horrendous. It takes a
How'd
lot
you
from Harry
play it
Potter.
from a floppy nowadays?
What? Oh, it was the writing. Like,
Oh,
it was
okay.
just a Word document.
I have so many
I see.
old files on floppies.
Yeah. Oh, my
I've
favorite.
got MS Paint files.
I found a floppy. I was on the subject of floppies because this is very important. I found a floppy that was labeled Spider-Man, and I open it up, and it's just like hundreds of downloaded Google images of Spider-Man.
You're gonna need
saved
that.
to a floppy, and all of them are really low res. It's like I need this someday. I gotta save these Spider-Man photos. But then I came to college, and of course I came in like, I want to be a director. I learned within the first semester, I don't want to be a director. So I shifted gears again to writing with a more realistic mind. And then as the years progressed, I became more interested in cinematography, just mainly because it was something, like Lev was saying, and Lev has this too, like I feel like I have a good eye for things. I know how to make things work, maybe not traditionally in terms of lighting or in terms of framing or whatever, but so I kind of shifted on that. So I've done a lot of projects for people. So yeah, now it's like I like cinematography and I like writing. When I came here, it was I like directing and editing, and now I don't. So Lev loves editing. Lev could tell you a lot about editing.
Yeah.
Editing's great.
He's our main editor for all projects.
So, Lev, you also have a background in animation. You really like doing that. How long have you been doing that? Did you start in high school, or was it just something you picked up?
Actually, John was talking about how he had a video camera when he was a kid, and that is like essential. I had this mini DV camcorder, Sony camcorder, when I was a little boy. It was actually my sister's, and I think she got it for like her 16th birthday. So I was 6. She's 10 years older than me, and from day one I was just playing around with that thing, and I made little animations, stop motion animations with that camcorder. And it was really counterintuitive to do that because there isn't like a take a frame button.
Yeah.
You know, you have to like press record and then very quickly, the shortest shot possible. But yeah, I would just take whatever I could find. Like I would animate shoes walking across the floor, and of course I would make little clay figures and I'd do animations with them. And they're all super short because they would take forever. But yeah, I was doing that ever since I was a little boy. Yeah, so I've done animation to various extents since then. I've probably only done like 2 like things I would consider like solid films, which I've made both of them in this animation class taught here at the University of Iowa. One is called Dance Contest, and it's a hand-drawn animation. It's a dance contest between a nose, a gnome, and an orb. And then the other one was a collaboration I did with my friend Ben called Hello, which is a 3D animated cartoon. And I made all the assets and I rigged all the characters, and yeah, I'm really proud of that one. You can find that online if you look for if you look up Gross Bus Hello, because Gross Bus is my friends Ben and Jacob's thing, and they're both really talented animators, and you guys should check them out.
So what system did you use for that? Did you use Maya or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I use Maya.
All right. Yeah, I took an animation seminar and we learned the basics of like this exists. I mean, I of course don't know how to use it, but
It's really confusing.
Yeah.
All the buttons are super small. It's all black.
So it takes a while to pick up. Then.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. You both mentioned that you worked on Iowa Desk and Couch together. So I was hoping we could talk about that a little bit. So John, what is Iowa Desk and Couch, or what was it, I guess, because it's been.
Sure. So, well, I'm the general manager for student video productions, and last year I was the production coordinator. So my job was to like figure out shows, which was sort of like a failing process because everyone just wanted to make their own projects.
Mm-hmm.
And Iowa Desk and Couch had like existed for something like many years. If you go to the Facebook page, which still exists even though we don't make content, it says the exact
Be a
year.
fan.
Can't remember. Like our page that doesn't have content anymore. So we decided, me and this other guy, Max Moore, who was running the organization, that we should get Iowa Desk and Couch back in working, get it back and running, and make it cool. Because in the past it had just been just a talk show, and we wanted to do something with more like sketch comedy and stuff. And so we got a few different people involved, and things didn't really start to take shape until Lev came on board, and then we also had the host Dana,
Robert.
and then Robert,
Robert,
who you had on last week or whatever.
Robert is actually on super early.
Yeah, so Robert was early, Lev was early, Dana, so all of us, and then we brought our friend Spencer, who was on Paperback Rhino, the improv troupe, on as sort of like the head writer, because he has a really good eye for sketches and comedy. And then we would just sit in a room and we would come up with ideas. And a lot of it would be like a lot of like just crazy, like at least for the second episode, just like manic ideas of us realizing that we could string things together.
We got really insane.
Yeah.
Like how an insane person like strings together conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
We were stringing together sketches like, oh, but this one element can come back in this other sketch, and then it can all tie together.
We went a little crazy. I have a notebook of like, there was one night, I can't remember who all was there, but a bunch of people, where we were at George's and we had like a realization about some of the tying elements, and then like future episodes that we ended up not doing. And it's just like scribbles of like arcs, and like it's a crazy notebook.
It was going to end in Dana's death.
Yeah, we were
the host of the show.
Yes, Dana was gonna die, and then he was gonna. We had this whole thing planned about a party bus, and then we would take the party bus to like Dave and Buster's or some kind of place like that. I can't remember the actual place. And then Dana would play a show, because Dana T, he has his music career, which is awesome. Check that out.
Check out
too.
Dana T.
Dana T. We'll get to that later. That we were gonna have him like rise from the ball pit. And then our friend Isaac was playing this executive producer, was gonna like salute him and like be like, you did it, kid. I don't know, it was nuts. But we ended up doing 2 episodes, and very proud of those. Lev brought an animated clip that he spent a ton of time on. We'll probably talk about that at some point.
Aye.
But with Iowa Desk and Couch, like I was talking to Dana about this not that long ago. Like we just had like tons of problems throughout the making of it, but it ended up coming together really nicely. So that's always good. Like just like issue after issue, but it definitely helped us as a team like learn how to work together, which is the whole point, I'd say.
It was huge. It was really insurmountable.
Yeah.
Like it's amazing that we did 2 episodes.
Right.
We wanted to do a bunch, but
yeah, we had. I think we had 5 planned.
yeah.
Then we shaved it down to 3. We still have clips and footage from the 3rd episode. We just haven't really done anything with it.
There's an interview with Kyle Kinane.
Yeah.
It just
Get that out there.
I know, right? Not
So
the timeliest.
it sounds like it was a big writer's room mentality. Like, we're all coming together to collaborate, and that's something you really fed off that energy. And is that something you're hoping to do in the future? Find yourself on a writing team and get back to this team effort. We're coming together to make something.
Yeah, I love writers' rooms.
Yeah. We're currently trying to do that now with The Strongest Man Ever, which was the most recent one that our friend Alosha wrote and directed. That's under the banner Bogus, which is like the new thing that we're working on
It's
after
this
Iowa Desk
sketch
and
comedy
Couch.
thing we're trying to get going.
Yeah, and so that involves the same people from Iowa Desk and Couch, more or less. It's just like, instead of the talk show format, it is, comedy sketches. But in terms of the future, I'm sure Lev agrees, like, I would love someday to just, like, my job would be to work in a writer's room of some sort of comedy show.
I honestly think there's nothing funner than just collaborating with people that you're friends with, and just like making each other laugh and coming up with ideas. That is just the funnest thing.
Because you get on the same wavelengths, you kind of get what's funny, what's not. And if you're friends, it's like, you have no problem being like, Lev, that's not funny, or John, that sucks, and then working on that and making it better. And then the other thing is, like, we all sort of like have a very similar mind, and so like the dynamic is good because like I'll bring an idea forward and Lev will just make it better, or Robert will make it better, and vice versa. And so that's what makes like the team effort like really awesome and like a fun thing to be a part of.
So you mentioned this clip from Iowa Desk and Couch that you animated. So we'll show that later in the show, but do you want to set it up for us?
Yeah, so in the second episode of Iowa Desk and Couch, there is this this plot line of a cereal brand called Wheat Ahoy that is Dana wants to get Spencer, the producer who plays the producer.
Right.
Spencer plays the producer of Desk and Couch, and he wants to get a sponsorship with Wheat Ahoy. And so then this weird cereal company is strung throughout the show in different sketches. And then in the middle of one of the sketches in the show, it cuts to a commercial, and it's a commercial for the cereal. And it's the mascot, Little Joey, who is a maritime private eye, and for some reason the mascot of a cereal. And I tried to animate it sort of like in the style of an animated cereal commercial, kind of like the old school Captain Crunch, Jay Ward commercials. And yeah, it was a really hard process. It was a big learning opportunity because I had to do a lot of stuff that I hadn't done before, and there were a bunch of characters. But yeah, it's I'm pretty proud with how it turned out. Yeah, it was a cool thing.
Okay. So here's that clip.
Hey everybody, it's your boy Little Joey, your favorite maritime private eye. I'm just out here protecting Wheat Ahoy cereal from all the sharks and pirates that want to trade it for scary guns. Get out of here, you pirates and sharks! This is my Wheat Ahoy! You can't trade it for guns! Not on my watch! Ka-chow! Ka-chow! Whoosh, whoosh! Joey, that ought to do the trick! Everybody should eat Wheat Ahoy cereal! And remember, anything that's a crime on land is a crime on a boat!
Wheat Ahoy is great!
How long would you say that took?
I'm embarrassed to say because it doesn't deserve to have taken that long. I was actually holding up the release of the second episode because this was the last thing we had to put in it was this animated commercial, and it was like probably like the 3 months of the summer that.
It took a while, but I'd say it definitely makes the episode. Like, it's very important, especially with like the whole weird arc that we constructed, and then like the animation. Like, Lev's underselling it. It's, like, beautiful.
Yeah.
It's, like, the best thing I've ever
Yeah, I've
seen.
checked that out. It's really well done. So good job, Lev.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're working on this new project, you said, called Strongest Man Ever. So could you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, so Strongest Man Ever is the first bogus thing that has been made. It was written by Alosha Robinson, who's a really hilarious writer, our friend. It's sort of in the tone of like a melodramatic, overly serious film, but it's completely absurd and it makes no sense. And we brought in our friend Cooper Whittlesey,
Oh,
who
man.
goes to cartooning school in Vermont,
Wow.
who also just happens to be an incredibly talented natural actor.
Like an amazing actor.
Yeah.
We were floored. Like, if Cooper wanted to work as an actor, he could work as an actor and probably win awards.
Check out Cooper Whittlesey. He's brilliant.
Find him on Facebook. Find him on Tumblr.
Check out his comics. Check out his art. Smart man. He's got a lot of really interesting thoughts about the world.
He
I would
does.
follow him on Facebook. But yeah, so this this clip from Strongest Man Ever is a montage in the third act of the film that reveals the backstory of Cooper's character.
Okay, so here's that clip.
His writing was different. He had a gift. He wrote about things that people weren't writing about, things people weren't ready to read about. He wanted to create art that would change people's lives, art that would really move people. He was on every coffee table in America, but it wasn't enough. He had to keep pushing boundaries. He wanted to evolve. Eventually, people couldn't keep up. He had real talent. But then the reviews came in. He couldn't handle the negative press. It tore him apart. They didn't understand his vision. So he cracked, split, broke. Fractured. He was done. He couldn't handle it. And so he got out of the game.
Man, that is
That's heavy.
That is a good clip.
So what were your roles for that specifically? Were you working the camera, John? or-
Yeah, I did all like the lighting and camera work, so like director of photography or whatever. And so yeah, in that clip we shot above Deadwood, and so we didn't actually need to use too much lighting. We just bounced one in because they have the space above Deadwood, and Deadwood is awesome.
Yeah.
Go to Deadwood.
Check out Deadwood.
Deadwood. Deadwood's great because they're very accommodating to people. Like we filmed there multiple times.
Very nice.
Like almost every project it feels
Yeah.
like.
And it looks
have we
great.
filmed there.
Like the decor
Yeah.
of that bar is really great
And then,
production.
yeah,
design.
and then the upstairs they've got these big big windows, and then they're sort of like fogged out, and so the light just comes in really diffused, really nicely. But yeah, so I did the lighting and the camera work. That was a struggle because we were shooting with the Blackmagic camera, which is a really great camera because it can shoot in 4K RAW, and Lev can talk about how awful it is to work with that footage and
It's
how it
hell.
drains the computer. But the other problem that it comes is, one, you need to light things really well, which we found with Ed, just to jump a little bit, because we had to light an alleyway at night. And that was like pretty difficult. We had like 6 lights.
The cool thing about that, though, is like when you have to do that much work, it ends up just being beautiful because you have to think about it so much.
Right, then you're basically, you're constructing the light, you're making the image that you want to make. But with Strongest Man Ever and with Ed, because it was shot in the winter and it was so cold, it was like below zero half of the time. The camera would die like
If the solid state
immediately.
drive freezes
it
in
couldn't
the
handle
cold.
it. So we got up at like it was like 6 in the morning, and we all get to my house, and we go to the graveyard where one of the scenes takes place, and we get there, me and Lev set up the camera, and then it just immediately goes like 25, 10, dead, and just dies. And we did that 3 times before we could finally get it right. But ultimately, we got the best light on the last day, so it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It all worked out somehow.
It all worked out.
Yeah. I should say that montage, that was largely improvised by you, all the shots in there, because it was so
Right.
freeform and continuous, and
So-
you did a really impressive job, I thought.
Yeah,
It looks really beautiful.
Essentially with that, we, so the Cooper's in the bathtub, so it was just like we had a light, a camera in the bathtub, and then Cooper and the actress Angie Barr were talking, and so they were just sort of improvising. And then in the room itself, with all the spins and stuff, it was just like, Cooper, go nuts, and I will follow you.
And Cooper will go nuts.
And Cooper went nuts, and so I just like weaved around. It was probably the most fun I've had shooting a scene, because I kind of like while I appreciate like stick a tripod here and shoot over the shoulder, what I really love to do is just like follow people around and try to get crazy in the moment and like do something, you know. Like Birdman, check it out.
Check out Birdman.
Check out Birdman.
Great
Best
film.
picture.
Yeah, best picture.
Best picture. Check out the Oscars.
Yeah, so that was a really fun scene to shoot.
So you mentioned Ed a little bit. So this is really your project, isn't it, Lev? Ed was something you came up with a long time ago, and then just this last year got around to finally seeing it come to fruition.
Yeah. So we were in the same film class. So Ed was one of the projects that I worked on, and it was a film that I actually wanted to make my freshman year. With a puppet, a blue fleece puppet that I had made back in like, I like the senior year of high school, I think. I made this puppet. And so I just had this puppet around, and I was like, I really want to make a film with this guy. And I came up with this really bizarre idea where he meets this like shady Lynchian figure in the shadows who promises him like wealth and fame, but then it's like a classic like deal with the devil sort of thing, where he basically sells his soul for this and he loses his best friend. And so I had written the first draft of it freshman year, and then I went back to it when last year when we were in that film class, and I pitched it. And I acted it out, and I did drawings, and I think people were just like, well, he clearly like has put a lot into this. Yeah, and so then it was all on me to make this bizarre puppet movie with all these really hard to manage variables, like how do I direct while I'm in a puppet? Not well.
How do you walk while you're in a puppet?
Yeah, how do I do anything while I'm in a puppet? How do you maintain eye contact when you're in a puppet? So yeah, I'm kind of amazed that we even managed to make the film.
Yeah.
It's definitely a little rough around the edges. Like there's things about it I would like to fix, and I have never actually put it out because I don't know. I feel like there's just like a level of polish it needs. But I think a lot of things worked really well. Jon's cinematography is beautiful. He lit this alleyway where Ed sort of lives, and he meets this other bum named Andy, who's also played by Dana T. Of Desk and Couch, and the alley looks like a set. Like it looks really, really good. Like it's not like realistic, but it's like it sort of fits
the vibe of the movie, which is like all theatrics. And like Lev played with that a lot in the editing too, which was good. Like with the montage scene that you did.
Oh yeah. And so this clip is actually when Andy meets Ed for the first time, and they dance, and that's sort of how they bond. Because Ed's very shy and depressed, and Andy's trying to reach out to him, so they make a connection through actually just dancing, and then it segues into this montage. It's like this vaudeville montage. It's black and white in the Pet Mall, where they're doing different routines. So that's the clip I have.
Okay, so let's check that out.
I'll shoot the moon right out of the sky for you, baby. I'll be the pennies on your eyes for you, baby.
Jon, you came in as a cinematographer. So did you, like Lev was saying, like you made the atmosphere kind of this alleyway. Did you come in thinking, okay, I want to make this a mixture of dark and humorous, or?
Yeah, I remember. Well, we talked about David Lynch, and then I love David Fincher, and so I like soft lighting and stuff like that. So I do that a lot. I don't really do like the Breaking Bad, like hard light and shadows. I mean, I think that's really gorgeous, but it's just not something that I'm super into. I guess we wanted to make it look like as real as possible, and like also we wanted this theatrical like look to it. So like we do this. Lev wrote this great scene, and we decided to do it in one shot, which is in this void. And so we were playing with like colors and lights, which was really fun. So like there's like this gold light that's going down from the top, and then on the more like Lynchian character that Lev was speaking about, played by Brooke Strauss,
Yeah,
also
great
has great
musician.
music.
Yeah.
Check it out. Great music. Brooke Strauss. Show on May 17th.
Dog matches.
Yes. And so we had like a green light on him, and then we had another red light. And so we were able to play with colors in an interesting way, and then camera movement. In the same like void type scene, there is just a red light, and then there's like walking towards the camera, but we had them like pushing away. So it's like this cool like sort of disconnect from reality, which is really fun. But for me, like as the role of like shooting the movie, it was really great because it was like the first time that I was just like, my whole role is I'm shooting this movie. I don't have to worry about everything else. Because with Iowa Desk and Couch, it was like Lev and I just had to like worry about everything. Like it wasn't like we had defined roles necessarily. It was more like we're doing the camera work, we're doing the directing, we're doing the editing, we're doing everything, we're doing the set design. And so I just got to focus on camera work, and that was really like nice for me. And I did that again with Strongest Man Ever because we did defined roles. And that's something we learned, is like having a role and like sticking to it, and then it helps with just making the flow of set go a little better. But yeah, Ed was great. I mean, obviously it was really cold. It was snowing. But that's what made it also awesome, is because like there's a shot of like this like 10-year-old kid walking down an alleyway, and there's like a light snowfall, and like it's just like really pretty. I would say Ed's a very pretty movie, yeah, and like it's largely due to just like the like what we had to work with. Like it was cold, it was winter, and like a lot of the times it was like, I don't want to be here right now. But it's like we stuck it out.
Yeah,
We
it was
did the
really
scene,
unfortunate circumstances,
and
for
we made
most
it
of
work.
but
Yeah.
that was actually to our benefit,
Yeah.
ironically.
Dana had to lay down. Once again, we're always beating up on Dana. Poor Dana. But he's the best trooper in the world. There's a scene where he's like laying down on the ice, and it's just like for a while because we had to get the shots. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, but he just like stuck
It was
to it.
freezing with fake blood on it.
Yeah,
It was
just
made out
like
of sugar that was sticking to his hair.
Oh man, it was horrendous. But in the end, it looks great, and I think it's a really nice movie. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time here, but I thought if I could ask you a two-part question of what do you have coming out next? Where can we see your stuff? And what do you have any advice for aspiring filmmakers who need to get their work out there, or just have an idea that they want to make happen? So
I feel like we've got various things brewing. I don't know what the next thing that will come out is necessarily, but definitely check out Bogus. Follow Bogus on Facebook. We have a Facebook page.
Yeah,
we haven't advertised.
We haven't even.
But maybe we will now. Yeah, I would. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna work on more sketches and whatnot for Bogus, so that's one plan. I haven't talked to Lev about this yet, so I'm gonna talk about it now. I have a project I'm gonna be working on with Dana soon, and Lev is a main collaborator, so he'll be involved, and you'll hear more about that come October or something. But big project that we're gonna do with Dana, because Lev, Jon, and Dana. Where else would we be? We need that's the team, and then we'll obviously me and Robert talked about, and Lev making a music video for one of our friends, a couple of our friends who are in Minneapolis. So they're gonna come down. Hopefully over the summer we'll go there and try to make something with that. Yeah. Really into music videos now. We'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, so just like we're working on a bunch of stuff. Hopefully it'll come out. But really, we're looking for the next big project. Right now, there's a dragon inside, and it's chained, and it's ready to burst. So we're just waiting for the dragon to fly out and set fire to the world.
if I may put a plug in, just check out my YouTube channel, Lev Cantoral. Check out my website, levcantoral.com, for my latest doodles and sketches. So that's where it's at, yo.
Yeah, friend me on Facebook. I like friends. Yeah, I think that's. Oh, advice. I don't know. This is weird because it's like, like I could use advice, but find a group of people who you're friends with and make stuff. That's what I would say. That's what worked for us.
Yeah.
Keep it fun.
Keep it fun.
That's very true.
Robert came up with a really good method of just when we were on set being really angry at each other. It was kind of a funny thing. Like
That's where
don't
Robert
take it
gets his
personally.
powers.
Robert takes his power from his anger.
Yeah.
And we started working on that. That's funny. So just making fun of each other. So yeah, make fun of your friends and then make art with them.
Sounds good. All right, I want to thank you guys for being on the show. I hope you had a good time.
Love it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
Love you, Mark.
All right.
I love
awesome.
talk shows.
I love you guys. All right. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Script to Screen. Join us next time when my guests will be different people.
Paul F. Tompkins.
He got it. I'm out now. It's out there.
Your secret is spoiled.
Oh, man.